Mentioned, foreign medical graduates are also referred to as international medical graduates, physicians whose medical school preparation was completed in a medical school outside of the United States. There are some exceptions. For instance, those who graduated from medical schools in Canada are not considered foreign medical graduates. There's also a medical school in Israel that is fully accredited, and if you graduate from there, you will not be considered a foreign medical graduate. The truth is, the residency programs that are opened and are continuously being offered by teaching hospitals in the United States do not have enough applicants. And the way to fill them, they are an important part of the workforce of a hospital. So if you cannot fill up all the slots, you will be lacking, or you will not have enough staff physicians in your hospital. So to fill this up, foreign medical graduates are continuously being recruited for these programs. Being an international medical graduate, and notice I switch back and forth between IMG and FMG. So being an IMG has nothing to do with citizenship, by the way. You could be an American citizen, but if you went to school outside of the US, well, except for Canada, you will still be considered a foreign medical graduate. However, if you are a foreign national, meaning you are not a US citizen, in order for you to start residency in the US, you will need special visas. You could either get a J1 student exchange visa or an H1B working visa. In a J1 student exchange visa, if you remember, I told you about the entrance exam, the licensure exam. You need to finish the first two steps. If you actually finish the three steps, you will be eligible for applying for a working visa, which is preferable for some. So if you have completed steps 1, 2, and 3, you are eligible for applying for a working visa. That is, if you get matched with a residency program in the US. So there is this thing called the Educational Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates, ECFMG, and they act as the reporting agency. That's where, if you are a foreign medical graduate, you actually, that's where you submit all your paperwork to apply for residency in the United States. And so they will be the one to report your scores to the residency programs that you are trying to apply to as a foreign medical graduate. So if you're a US citizen, obviously you wouldn't need this visas, because you could pretty much stay in the United States, you're a citizen, and you don't have to have a special visa because of your citizenship. According to the American Medical Association, the top 3 countries that are sources for international medical graduates are India. They account for about 20% of all IMGs. Second is the Philippines. They account for about 9% of all IMGs. And Mexico, they account for about 6% of all the IMGs that apply for residency in the United States. When discussing international medical graduates, we also need to discuss this degree, because this is a medical degree that is awarded outside of the United States. So there's a main difference. MBBS simply means Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. So it's a 6-year degree, and it's not considered a graduate degree. So it is not a doctorate. It is actually a baccalaureate. And if you're wondering why is it MBBS, it's because it's in Latin. If you look closely at these countries, there is something in common here. These are the countries where in their medical schools award this type of degree. So it's really straight out of secondary school, straight out of their equivalent of high school. You get admitted into a 2-year pre-med program, which is sort of like an associate's degree. Then you go into a 4-year program, which is the bachelor's degree in medicine and bachelor's degree in surgery. So like I said, it is not considered a doctoral degree in the United States. And this degree is awarded in these countries. And if you notice, something is common here and among these countries, and it's actually the United Kingdom. Most of them are either members of the Commonwealth, meaning they were once a colony or part of the British Empire, or their educational system has been deeply influenced by the United Kingdom, by the UK system of education. Therefore, they follow this type of academic preparation for physicians in their country. Now, if you have an MBBS degree and you want to apply for residency in the United States, you have to go through the same steps of taking the USMLE, the United States Medical Licensure Exam. You could also take the COMLEX if you want to, but that exam includes a specific module about the OMMs, the osteopathic manipulative medicine. So if you didn't have that training in your MBBS degree, you might want to take the USMLE instead. Majority of international medical graduates that have this degree, after doing the residency program in the United States, change it to MD. Well, first of all, they become their training is on a doctoral level because they go into the internship, then into the residency program in the U.S. Second, the licensure exam they took in the U.S. is the USMLE, which is the United States licensure for medicine. So they then use MD thereafter. There are some, however, that retain this degree when they put those letters after their name. There is one important law that actually paved the way for foreign nationals who are international medical graduates to directly join the workforce and be a licensed practicing physician in the U.S. immediately after their residency program. If you're a foreign national and you have a J1 visa, the student exchange program, you're actually required to go home to your home country, stay there for 2 years before you can apply for a job in the U.S. Well, the spirit of the visa is that it's a student exchange program. So it's a token of giving back. You know, there was once upon a time we were learning from Europe and, in terms of training physicians, that now it's our turn to be training physicians from all over the world. So as a student exchange, you're supposed to go back to your home country and apply what you have learned in the U.S. But you're also, of course, eligible to work in the U.S. because you've trained in the U.S. and there will be hospitals that would want you. However, if you finish your residency program with a J1 visa program, you're supposed to go home. If you are an American citizen, there's no problem with that, even if you're a foreign medical graduate. So remember we said that IMGs or FMGs are continuously being recruited to fill in positions for residency programs because we don't have enough medical graduates. So the requirement for foreign nationals or IMGs of making them go home for at least 2 years is problematic because instead of them going straight into the pipeline as physicians in the US, they first have to go home. So in 1994, Senator Conrad of North Dakota proposed this waiver program. And it addressed the problems of not having enough physicians in rural as well as urban inner city areas that are medically underserved, considered as medically underserved areas. So in this law, they allowed each state department to sponsor 20 and now 30 international medical graduates each year. So this law basically waives, it's a waiver program, it waives the requirement for the 2-year home residency of physicians. So the point is though, is if you are a foreign national and you're an international medical graduate and you want to work in the US and you have a J1 visa, you have to go home. But this program waives that. That is only if you get hired through this program, and it's the State Department that will sponsor you. Each state is allowed 30 slots. So if there are 50 states, there's about 30 times 50 number of physicians that can go straight into the pipeline and and join the workforce. The condition is you cannot just, this sponsorship from the State Department is meant for areas in the state that are designated as medically underserved areas. It could be rural, it could be urban. If it's rural, remember we talked about the ratio of how many physicians you have in areas in the US. And if it's rural, well, it's because there's really not enough doctors in rural areas. If it's urban, it's because there are specific spots in metropolitan areas, especially inner city areas, that are still considered as medically underserved areas because we don't have enough physicians that practice there. So in a way, it addresses the issue of physician shortages in areas that are considered medically underserved areas. So this is basically one of the ways that foreign nationals, non-US citizens, join the workforce straight from their residency programs. So after that, usually they have an arrangement with their employers that after 5 years, after a number of years of service, the employer will then sponsor them for a green card, which then leads to US citizenship via naturalization.